G'day guys and gal, the Warhammer setting is old, like really old. Decades of storytelling, dozens of books, and a lot of fluff that has been lost to the ages. For a lot of things that's a positive. Early Warhammer lore was weird, and kinda shit. Horus was just a cranky dude instead of a Primarch. The Custodes walked around naked for a while, and Timmy wasn't beaten to near death on the daily. However, for some lost lore, it was a massive shame. High quality content that just no one seems to know about. Some of this relatively unknown lore isn't even that old, but for whatever reason just isn't commonly known, despite how awesome it is. Well, wasn't commonly known until today. The lore you will see in this video will give you a new appreciation for the Warhammer setting. Some of it is very interesting and original, some of it is funny, and some of it will shake the very foundations of your being. Or maybe not, but a bit of dramatic flair never went astray. Before we get started, without sounding like a self-absorbed Slaneshi simp, a lot of people do ask me, Majorkill, how do you dedicate most of your life to Warhammer and not become a fat sweaty neckbeard? The answer is simple. I've found various healthy foods that are super easy and convenient to prepare and consume. The best example of this is Magic Spoon, a range of cereals that emulate the taste and texture of your favorite childhood cereals without the whole, enough sugar to give you diabetes thingo. Like at 14 grams of protein and absolutely zero sugar, the macros on Magic Spoon are unreal. If you've been watching this channel for a little while, you would know that Magic Spoon is a product that I genuinely use. Usually they send creators this much product for demo, but I was like, nah, give me more. So they sent over this as well. So if you want a delicious, nutritious, and nostalgic variety of cereals, then use my link and code Majorkill below for $5 off any order. Cheers to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over the various bits of lore that you probably haven't heard of in Warhammer 40k. This video will be more of a collection of lore tidbits rather than one smooth flowing thing. If this does well, then I do another part. Also, I do need to shout out the 40k lore subreddit, as most of the lore in this video I learnt from reading into various excerpts and references from there. Hey, just because all the Warhammer subreddits fucking hate me doesn't mean I can't extract some kind of value out of them. Let's get into it. The first tidbit of unknown lore is about Fulgrim, that rape snake man. Fulgrim has been AFK from the setting for a long time, only popping up once to get absolutely dunked on by the Giga Chad Rylanor. So what has he been doing for 10,000 years? Well, as much as I'd like to say he's just been beating his meat the whole time, it's actually a bit more interesting than that. See, Fulgrim transformed his pleasure planet into an exact replica of Chemos, which is his home planet. He then kidnapped millions of people and basically recreated his Primarch origin story, reliving his early days in exact detail. Once he had gotten bored, he killed everyone, then kidnapped another couple million to do it all again. Except this time he would take on a new role. Maybe this time instead of the savior Primarch, he would be the oppressive overlord. He would roleplay for a few years, get bored, kill everyone, jerk off for a while, then rinse and repeat. It got so bad that his pleasure planet now has literal mountains of corpses from all his discarded toys. So if you ever feel bad about procrastinating or just being lazy, remember that Fulgrim killed millions just so he could relive his childhood. While we're on the topic of Slaanesh, there is a wacky bit of lore, which is basically that there's a planet which is one big fat motherfucker. The science behind this makes zero sense for a wide variety of reasons, but during the Abyssal Crusade, when a dumbass lord sent thousands of space marines to invade the Eye of Terror, resulting in the deaths or corruption of pretty much every space marine that went, some of them ended up on this fat man Slaaneshi planet. The planet also hosts a lot of Slaaneshi demons and is even a homeworld for some noise marines. While this lore is incredibly grimderp, I'll allow it because it's fucking hilarious. Space Marines have a lot of incredibly unique abilities that you may not have heard of. Stuff like being able to put themselves into a hibernation cocoon, as well as the ability to spit acid, being some of the stranger examples. However, the secret ability you probably haven't heard of is their ability to consume flesh, blood, and brains of their enemy in order to relive the memories of the dead. As you can imagine, whilst this is super handy, it's also pretty fucking grim. Like, imagine you're a guardsman who's just been saved by some ultramarines. You look up to these glorious angels and suddenly one of them is like, we need intel on where their base is. So the other Astartes nod, then they just start fucking tearing into the dead, munching down their brains and shit. You would be like, bruh, maybe the flesh tearers do have a point. Speaking of Space Marines, did you know that a number of well-known Chaos Space Marine characters are actually cultivators and connoisseurs of various alcohols? Ahriman owned a vineyard on Prospero before it got absolutely shat on, and he actually created very good wine. He was very proud of it. It was described as flavoursome and forceful, yet with enough subtlety to surprise. He even implied that when the Great Crusade was over, he would dedicate his life to creating the best goddamn wine around. In a similar vein, Abaddon brewed his own, beverages as well. Unlike Ahriman though, Abaddon's drink was fucking shit. But Majorkill, the world eater that drank it genuinely enjoyed it. Yeah, well, world eaters also enjoy getting nails in their fucking brains, so I wouldn't really use them as a reference point. Abaddon's drink consists of, I shit you not, adrenal gland fluid taken from living slaves, the tears of virgins, the blood of children, the corpses of psychers, as well as the venom of the neverborn, among other stuff. Abaddon actually tried to artificially create raw warp energy, but failed, hence turning the failed result of his experiments into his own moonshine. It was described as tasting like raw chemical engine coolant, and would instantly kill any non-augmented human who tried to consume it. So whilst I'd probably opt for Ahriman's delicious wine, I still gotta give points to Abaddon for arguably the most complicated cocktail in the universe. The next lore tidbit refers to how bonkers the Imperium was during the Great Crusade, more specifically the existence of Hunter Servitors. In order to help protect Terra and the Sol system, there existed large unique warships that were basically gigantic servitors. The ship's crews were servitors, the captain was a servitor, and the warship itself was a big-ass Hunter Servitor. Basically the Imperium's version of having a drone, these ships could stay out in the void almost permanently, always looking for threats. They were also pretty off the books, so encountering one would always been of an unpleasant surprise. It does seem like a lot of them, if not all of them, were destroyed during the Horus Heresy, so it explains why you don't really see them referenced much, but still very interesting nonetheless. This next interesting part of the lore is more of an Easter egg than anything else, but that's totally fine. Fabius Bayer was born on Terra, in a place called Ingolstadt, Bavaria. I definitely fucked it up, but you know what I mean. Cool story, Majorkill. But wait, do you know who attended the University of Ingolstadt? That's right, Victor Frankenstein. As Fabius is about as Frankenstein as it can get, literally Frankenstein with none of the moral dilemmas, plus a lot of futuristic tech, it's a nice nod to the story and a subtle Easter egg for one of the most infamous characters in the entire setting. Not a life-changing bit of lore, but it might give you some more appreciation for the old mate. Something, however, that actually is quite game-changing is the existence of an ancient and wildly overpowered language called Announcia. This forbidden and forgotten language is so powerful that when you speak it, it can crack your teeth, split your lips, and can even shatter your own jaw. So why the fuck would you speak it? Well, whatever happens to you, whoever you speak it to ends up significantly worse. By speaking Announcia, you can rupture someone's internal organs, bind demons to your will without any form of ritual, and you can even turn yourself into a god if you know enough words. One guy was able to completely regenerate his body from a burnt husk back to peak health with only one sentence. The kicker is that you don't even need to be a psyker in order to use it, yet the power gained from Announcia are often way more powerful than psyker abilities. Knowing Announcia would be like having unlimited psyker powers without any drawbacks, as long as you knew Announcia well enough not to have your jaw explode when attempting to speak it. So why isn't Announcia more of a thing? Well, like I said, it's a forgotten and lost language, maybe invented by the old ones to help shape the galaxy. A few bad guys try to basically put a dictionary of it together through extreme effort and a lot of heresy, and whilst they managed to do it, the Inquisition quickly destroyed it and put an end to their schemes. Sure, in the right hands it could save mankind, but in the wrong hands it could doom it. As Warhammer is, Warhammer, it's probably a good thing that it was suppressed. The bad guys always end up with the good stuff if the good stuff is allowed to exist. Something a bit wholesome now. Did you know that Malkador collected and preserved many sacred artifacts from Earth? The Mona Lisa, the works of Van Gogh, the first ever clay pot made by humanity. These are just a few items in his secret museum. Other stuff include the first ever warp drive and the last Gutenberg Bible. It's a subtle, seemingly unimportant section of lore, but it gives a lot of context to the type of man Malkador is. It really humanizes him and makes him relatable. After all, if you were an immortal man second only to the Emperor, you'd probably collect some cool shit as well. Speaking of wholesome, did you know that the Emperor was not the oldest human alive during the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy? Alanus Pius was even older, and the two were ancient friends. Despite the Emperor's purge of religion, Alanus remained a devout Catholic, and he continued to wear the cross despite religion being outlawed. The Emperor actually made an exception for Alanus because he respected him so much. I mean, it wasn't always sunshine and rainbows between them. I'm pretty sure Alanus stabbed the Emperor for being a dickhead once, but when the Emperor was mortally wounded by Horus and Alanus stood in front of his old friend to protect him, he was still wearing his ancient cross. And finally, the last interesting bit of lore for this video. You know Titsnich, that extremely complicated scheming chaos god that loves to confuse people? Yeah, well, he has a crystal labyrinth in his realm that is more or less impossible to escape from. It's basically a maze that is constantly changing and readjusting to throw you off and leave you trapped in there forever. It also has a guardian who riddles you with impossible riddles, and if you get it wrong, he eats you. So yeah, a bit of a challenging place to visit. Except for one person, a young girl and her small black dog. To Titsnich's absolute surprise and shock, this little girl entered the maze, got all the riddle answers correctly, avoided all the traps and misdirections before completing the maze and leaving Titsnich's realm. To this day, the Lord of Change is still baffled by the occurrence, and he even asked his guardian what the fuck happened. The guardian said he thinks she cheated, but as the guardian is deaf, it's kinda hard to rely on him. It's unknown who or what the girl was. Some theories say it was the Emperor taking the piss out of Titsnich, whilst others say it's an unknown cosmic being. It could also just be a lost little girl whose naivety towards her surroundings allowed her to escape them. But regardless, it's a fun and relatively unknown bit of lore from over 10 years ago. It's little bits and bobs like this from Warhammer lore that sets it apart and really shows the depth and complexity of a setting that is older than myself. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. Only $1 per month give you access to a boatload of cheeky hentai. What can I say? It's Christmas. Treat yourself. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more unknown yet interesting content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.